1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update brought to you by Awaken 180. The Gators started the season at 1-11 in SEC play and have since flipped the script and went 13-3 in SEC play. After their come-from-behind win yesterday against the Crimson Tide, down 5-0, losing players, none of it mattered, as head coach Kevin O'Sullivan believes his team is built for the adversity.
How gutsy of a win this was for our team, because we easily could have folded the tent, fell behind 5-0. We lose Luke and we turn around an inning later, lose Justin, and down players. We could have easily hung our heads, but I think honestly, starting out 1-11 and going through that adversity probably is probably helping us right now. The injuries are mounting. With that being said, it's one of those things, but what can you say? I'm awfully proud of the team, the way they battled.
Florida and Alabama will continue their series tonight with first pitch at 6:30. Hear the game live on 10:10 a.m. It's 87 degrees at 12:01. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Taylor Dahl still enjoying vacation. It started with a beach family vacation, now going to welcome to Rockville. So she is certainly having a good old time. We were texting this morning about the new Morgan Wallen album that dropped today. And I know none of y'all are listening to it because you've, of course, been listening to 1010XL. But
I thought you were going to say that the anti-Morgan Wallen hooligans are going to come out of the woodwork because independent of whatever happened at a bar in Nashville, just those who may not be the biggest fans. I've seen a couple of you. I don't know how you exist, but you do.
I mean, I understand if you're not a country music fan, then he's maybe not your cup of tea. I certainly understand that. But yeah, lots of good songs, and we might play some throughout the course of the show. All right, Mia O'Brien, I have a Jaguars question for you, and it stems from what you've been saying about the Jaguars' right tackle. Mm-hmm. So the question is this: who is under more pressure in 2025 to perform well? Anton Harrison or Travis Etienne?
Ooh.
Because I think that they both are under pressure.
I mean, ultimately, if you're Travis Etienne, it comes down to I would say for Travis Etienne, it comes down to, are you looking to stay in Jacksonville long term, or is it all about, hey, I recognize the nature of the running back position has largely become that of a mercenary, largely over the last 5 to 10 years. And so I'm just going to go to the highest bidder, and that's just the nature of the position, which is an unfortunate way to discuss a human being, let alone a football player, but that's just the world we live in. And so ultimately, I think it comes down to his perspective. I think he recognizes for himself this is a big year because he has to prove his worth to the National Football League. But I also think based off of what he's put on the field over the last 3 years, as well as name recognition and being the ACC's all-time leading rusher, there's name value to him. So if he does hit the open market next offseason, if he is a candidate to be traded either before or at the trade deadline, I believe there's value there. As far as Anton Harrison and that pressure, I want to note that when I say that, it stems from that same ideology, philosophical approach that Mark Long was talking about with XL Primetime and Amelia Island. It's not that this regime doesn't like Anton Harrison. It's not that the previous regime that selected him 28th overall doesn't like Anton Harrison. It's this idea of, hey, you came into the league as a 21-year-old. He turned 21 2 months before the Jaguars drafted him, Lauren. You're now 23 years old. We need to see the continued development, not only because last season was subpar, but because we need to see you in the building early. We need to see you first one in, last one out. Are you not only a bookend for this offensive line, but a pillar for the locker room as well?
Yeah, I think it's Travis Etienne based off of, to your point, the nature of the position. I think a right tackle that, of course, and every tackle, by the way, will tell you they can play right or left, right? A tackle will believe that they have a better market in free agency than a running back does. And I think if Anton Harrison doesn't play well and ends up not starting, that certainly does hurt his market. But I still think another team will see his rookie season and say, we can develop him, we can get him back to that year. The running back position, to your point, is pretty much if you don't get it done by the time you're 25, you may not get a second contract. And that's where I wonder what Travis Etienne's market would be if he ends up not getting very many snaps. And I'm not saying he's going to be the third running back because of the two guys they drafted in Tank Bigsby, or even the fourth. I'm not saying that. But if we do see his snaps diminish, I think that greatly affects a running back.
So I didn't answer your question. My answer is Anton Harrison, much like some of the Heeligans in the text line.
then.
Designed by Lifetime Enclosures, 641-1010, the number to reach us at. That's from 828, who says Anton by far. And I think the answer is Anton by far because, look, I mean, again, for Travis Etienne, this question is from the perspective of him himself and what his NFL career is going to look like. For Anton Harrison, it's about finding good standing with a new regime and setting yourself up to be in Jacksonville long term because, of course, as a former first round pick, the fifth-year option is in play there. So there's a chance that even if he wasn't to reach a full second contract, there's a chance that they pick the fifth-year option up. And so he's here for another 3 years, and then they have to make a decision about a second contract. So for him, I would say more is at stake because it's about your immediate future. Again, I go back to this, and look, there have been plenty of running backs that have been great in college. They get to the National Football League. It doesn't work out. They become journeymen. But Travis Etienne...
See TJ Yeldon.
Yes, correct. Travis Etienne was a 1,000-yard rusher, has had 1,000 total yards in 2 of the last 3 seasons. People are going to look at that resume. They're also going to look at the final record of the 2024 Jacksonville Jaguars and most likely base his production off of the entire system and not him as a player. Now,
And the offensive line was subpar for sure.
and they could say it didn't work there because of the line, because of the offensive operation, but it would work for us, and we will take a bet and a gamble on that player. Now, with that said, if it looks the same this year under a different administration, does that give teams pause? Perhaps, but ultimately, I believe based off of what we saw coming off of a Liz Frank injury in 22 and 23 will carry him into a contract somewhere, whether that's an extension here or elsewhere. And it's a different situation with Anton because it's more about upping the ante to prove that you are going to be a long-term piece here.
This stems from what you've said about Anton, but also I saw a list of players on the hot seat, and 2 of the names were Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. And we've obviously talked ad nauseum about how much pressure Trevor Lawrence is under as the quarterback and all that they've now put around him and certainly the new play caller and things like that, which, by the way, Liam Cohen, I think, if he does his job well, will or could eventually be the best play caller that the Jaguars have ever had. And certainly right now, Tom Coughlin's saying, hold my beer. But it's possible if in the next 5 years, this team is a perennial playoff team, it's possible that one day Liam Cohen could be the best play caller here.
I need someone older than me to tell me on the text line or on the YouTube chat line whether or not play calling was valued in the high regard that it is in this creative age of the Sean McVays and the Kyle Shanahans. Was it that way in the 90s and the 80s? I don't know.
Different because the obviously football was more running the football back then, in certainly the 70s, the 80s. But in the 90s, like for instance, Steve Spurrier has been lauded and
as
then
a play caller. That's true.
Transition that into like a Mike Leach when it comes to college football. The NFL is a little different because yes, there's offensive coordinators, there's head coaches that call plays. It's sometimes there's a mixture there, i.e. Doug Peterson, Press Taylor, that kind of thing. But I just think if Trevor Lawrence becomes a top 5 quarterback, if Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter are these elite wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 in the NFL, and Liam Cohen gets the run game back going right, it's possible that he's going to be right there with the best play callers ever in Jaguars history.
Let's compete with Dave Canales week 1. Let's compete.
Right.
Let's compete with.
There's a long way to go.
The Taylor brother.
I'm not trying to crown him right now. I'm just saying there hasn't been a ton of really good play callers here in the past.
No, and that's why actually to go back to my question for the Heeligans, like that's where I think it's a good starting point. This idea of for the last. Since 2012 when RG3 came into the league with Kyle Shanahan, and previous to that, he was the play caller in Houston as the OC. You can make the argument that over the last 13 to 15 years, we've seen this narrative of how creative is your play caller, how innovative is your offense. That has been a consistent theme around the National Football League, and yet the team in this town has largely, outside of perhaps Doug Peterson, who is, still obviously banking off of a Super Bowl victory once upon a time. Not to say that Doug's not a good play caller. However, in terms of this new age ideology that has perpetuated the National Football League for the last 15 years, while everyone else has been out there looking for their Sean McVay, looking for their Kyle Shanahan, the Jaguars have largely just kind of sat back and been like, we're going to run the ball, play great defense, and then when crap hits the fan with he who must not be named in 2021, one Urban Meyer. Now we're going to go find somebody who will bring stability, but also a little bit of creativity along the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, the reason for that, by the way, is because the spread came to the NFL. That was not really a part of that game. They did things differently. They operated differently, and they thought that they never needed to do that. And then eventually they realized, no, that is the best way to play football offensively, obviously.
Speaking of the spread offense, good note from 669 off the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. This is one, Lauren, that goes right into your wheelhouse. Dirk Cutter was a pretty good play caller, and obviously a pretty good play caller out there at Boise State for one Ashton Genty this past season, too.
He was. I just don't know that we've seen the longevity outside of, like I said, Tom Coughlin here calling plays to that point. Like, I think Liam Cohen could be the Jaguars head coach for the next potentially 15 years, right? Like, you never are going to leave an NFL job for another NFL job. So if you're successful, see Mike Tomlin, you can have that job for a very long time, where it's obviously way different than that in college football most of the time. Usually you get fired. There are the Kirk Ferentzes of the world. But most of the time, you're either on the hot seat, like we saw with Ryan Day, or you're getting fired. All right, or you are getting fired. I have a question for you that I want to get to quickly. So yesterday, I'm watching Florida lacrosse play Duke.
Yep.
It was 11-2.
Yes.
I'm sitting there in the third period. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, Florida is going to the Final Four. And then Duke scored 7 goals, and Florida didn't score another goal, and it was 11-9. And now I'm watching this sport that I don't typically watch, and I'm freaking out. I'm heavily emotionally invested.
Yep.
And I'm realizing just how freaking physical lacrosse is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so, I mean, these people, the Duke and Florida women.
Florida won the game, by the way, folks. It's okay.
Yeah, Florida won 11-9.
Yeah.
The Final Four, by the way, is set. Florida will take on number 1, North Carolina, next Friday at 3 o'clock, while Boston College takes on Northwestern at 5:30, and that's all up in Foxborough at Gillette Stadium. I just had no idea that this sport was, I thought soccer and lacrosse were about the same when it comes to physicality. I did not realize that lacrosse is a whole nother level.
Oh, and turn on a men's game, and it'll really change your perspective.
Because Florida doesn't have a men's lacrosse team varsity-wise, so I would never watch that. Now I will.
What's interesting with women's lacrosse, number one, so it's hard for me to like kind of wrap my brain around, because what you see in collegiate lacrosse where field players are just wearing the eye masks, that's what I played high school level. That's what is still the required attire, if you may. Equipment in the Northeast. But high schools in Florida, and I believe it's now up to 9 other states on the female side, actually have the women wearing these pseudo helmets of sorts. At the same time, though, rules have changed in terms of shooting space violations and how much space you need to give a shooter. More 8 meters, what is a foul, what is not a foul. Those rules have changed in the last decade to try to protect the players more, as also there's been added equipment to protect physically the players. And then, I'm watching it with Kevin, who played, a pretty high level up in the DMV high school men's lacrosse. And he's like, this is nothing. Like, have you seen the men's game? I mean, that Syracuse-Harvard game that we played a highlight from, there were, at one point in time, Harvard was two men up, because I've never seen anything like it. I mean, there was a Syracuse defender who literally just takes his stick and just weaves it like a weapon into the helmet of a Harvard player. And
there was a time yesterday where Duke had 2 players up on Florida, and they didn't score at that point in time.
Yeah.
But then later, they ended up. I had to mention that.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be watching the Final Four next Friday.
But no, don't panic when they. You should panic when they score 7 unanswered.
Yes,
like that.
you absolutely panic.
But I mean,
But then all Florida really had to do at that point was just hold it, and that part I understood from playing basketball. Like, okay,
and that's important
in soccer. Keep possession
for you Gators who may get into lacrosse these next few weeks as the ladies vie to get back to the Final Four. Do keep that in mind too, that basketball, I would argue, is even more, and maybe this is as I've called lacrosse more as opposed to playing it, although now I look back at the playbook I was handed, and maybe because I didn't play basketball growing up, it's much more similar.
I'm shocked with your height. You did not play basketball.
No, never. And the fact that my dad played D3 too, and it still breaks his heart that I'm only 5'2". But point being, now I look back at the fact that I was handed a playbook at 14 years old, and I tried similarly to you. I viewed it through a soccer lens because that's all I knew. That's all I had played up to that point competitively at that level. But now, having called basketball and lacrosse, I would liken lacrosse on the women's side, and even to the men to an extent, much more to basketball than I would soccer.
Interesting stuff. All right, so when we come back, more Florida talk, also Florida State, UNFJU, all baseball going on in our next segment. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Hi, I'm Chris Berman from ESPN. When I'm back in Jacksonville, back, 1010XL, it's a shirt size, 92.5 FM.
You're looking through a Lee and Kate's Glass Friday on Helmets and Heels.
The 2025 season schedule has dropped, and single-game tickets are on sale now. Be at the bank to watch Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence, and the Jaguars take on the biggest names in the NFL. Don't miss your favorite matchup and secure your tickets now by visiting jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. See you this fall, Jags fans.
Yes, sir. That's the best decision. I love it.
A chipped windshield can turn into a big problem fast. Lauren Brooks here. Trust Novus Glass of Jacksonville for expert repair and replacement. Call 904-289-2905 for Novus Glass in Orange Park. 904-289-2905.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Jason, I don't see how a new air conditioner is going to work out for me.
Well, you like air conditioning, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. But a new air conditioner could be expensive.
Well, not if you...
to save up the money, I probably have to give up my extra hot skim latte every morning. Now I fall asleep during a staff meeting, get volunteered for the summer picnic committee, and end up sitting in the dunk tank all afternoon getting water up my nose.
Okay, look at it this way. Put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Bueller Air and Plumbing puts in a new AC. We hook you up with affordable financing, and you stay cool and comfortable for just $149 a month. Cool?
Cool. I see it now.
Life can be hard on your budget. If you suffer through the heat because of a broken AC you could totally afford to replace, you could visit.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
What does your dream backyard look like? Hey, it's Joe C. and my friends at CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living can design an outdoor kitchen layout custom built to your taste and lifestyle. You dream it, they can build it. CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. Visit CSSOutdoor.com.
Yo, this is Tony from Tony D's. Are you looking for a great slice of pizza? Well, we have about 12 varieties. Most places won't have slices of pizza after lunch. At Tony D's, you can get a slice all day. It's always fresh at Tony D's Pizza. Bay Meadows and 295.
The best value for golf in Jacksonville remains Cimarron, totally reestablished with new tee boxes, improved fairways and greens, also a brand new restaurant with indoor and outdoor settings, and live music. Join the Wild One loyalty program online at Cimarron Golf. When's the last time you played Cimarron? Cimarron Golf Club on 210, the Wild One.
Sometimes you agree with him, sometimes you don't.
On the runway, I'm coming in hot.
CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco joins the Frangie Show Friday afternoons on 1010XL. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out The Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At The Y, summer camps every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited, and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
Jacksonville, Hickens calling it. Checkmate Coatings, my MVP. Tough, slick floors that dominate any space.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Want a simple way to boost your company's image without a big renovation? A fresh paint job in your brand's colors can increase recognition up to 80%. At Performance Painting, we help companies stand out with clean, on-brand finishes that impress clients and energize employees. From color consultations to low-odor coatings that won't disrupt operations, we've got you covered. Visit performance-painting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
Guys, your lawn's the home field. Now you can champion your St. Augustine grass. TopDressing.com just hit Jacksonville with a game-changing patented process. Aerate and transform your turf into a fairway-worthy masterpiece. Less water, shorter cuts, and the envy of every neighbor. No one else delivers a perfect 10 lawn like this. Visit TopDressing.com and dominate your block with the same process that golf courses use. Top dress your lawn like the pros with TopDressing.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Hey, that's a bomb. That's not an infield single. That is a two-run home run to take the lead. Brody Donay will touch them all for the 15th time. He's driven in 3 runs tonight. And Florida's come all the way back from down 5-0 to now lead it 7-6.
So we get a Florida Gator baseball highlight with Sean Kelly on the call, juxtaposed with Morgan Wallen and one of his new songs from the album that dropped today. You think I'm a happy Florida girl today?
Well, I think Morgan Wallen's excited as a Tennessee fan. Anytime Alabama loses, that's a victory for old Rocky Top.
That is very true. So Florida, in case you missed it, was down 5-0. Molly laid this out in her update earlier. Came back and won 7-6. You just heard the 2-run home run that propelled Florida into the lead. And there's a ton of storylines here, Mia. One, you know the Gator baseball team is hot when Matt Hayes texts you after a Gator win, because Matt obviously is not really a Gators fan like a lot of us are, but he's been following along with the fact that Kevin O'Sullivan's team has had to battle so much adversity, and it happened again last night.
Yep.
Luke came in up to bat. The pitch hits him on the arm, and the pitcher right away knew it and walked up and said, he was so sorry. It wasn't the pitcher's fault necessarily, or I'm not.
But now you're down your best player.
But literally, Luke Heyman, who he has 16 hits in his last 12 games, to show you exactly what he's been doing, that junior catcher. And so he's out for the season now with the broken forearm. And so that's another one. As far as guys who started this season that are out for the season, center fielder Kyle Jones, second baseman Cade Curlin, and then, of course, Luke Heyman, who I just mentioned. And then Colby Shelton is the shortstop. He's missed the last 2 weeks with a hamate bone injury, hoping to get him back at some point in time, but we have no idea at this point in time. I also figured Florida was going to win when one of our friends posted a video of the Intercoastal right in front of his house, and there was an alligator bobbing up and down. I was like, oh, that means only Gators get out alive.
Hey.
But look, Liam Peterson is fantastic once again as the pitcher. And also, by the way, Justin Nadeau, who came from JU, he also left the game yesterday with a finger injury. I would imagine that he's not out for an extended period of time, or I'm hopeful he's not, or out for the season with a finger injury, but it just starts to pile up.
Long story short, if you're a Gator fan, you're very excited that a team that started 1-11 is now back at 500. 14 and 14. Yes, for those of you keeping score, that means they've gone 13-3 in their last 14 games. I think my math is correct there, Lauren.
In the SEC.
And ultimately, in the best conference in college baseball. But at
Bar none.
But at some point in time, they have to stop getting away with this. As the injuries continue to mount, at some point in time, you're going to be like, all right, this was a fun run. The fact that they turned it around is great. There's no way that they Mike Tomlin their way out of this, but somehow, some way, Kevin O'Sullivan is the Mike Tomlin of college baseball.
I mean, you could argue, honestly, he's better, but I would imagine Florida will get to Omaha, assuming that Florida hosts a regional, and Colby Shelton, like I said, the shortstop, can come back. So we played the highlight of Brody Donay. Brody Donay, you know what he did? Just moved to catcher after Luke Heyman went out. So obviously Kevin O'Sullivan has to shift so many different pieces around, and Landon Stripling came in. He took over at first base, and then Blake Sear, who came from Miami, he ended up taking Nadeau's spot at second. So literally in a game, you're having to shift all of these different things. That doesn't normally happen, I feel like, in baseball. Talking about Sully, 500 wins at home now. That's just unbelievable. By the way, the game tonight, 6:30 first pitch. You can hear it on 10 a.m. between Florida and Alabama, a top 25 matchup. FSU, by the way, number 5 in the country, but lost last night to North Carolina, who is number 3. They lost 8-3. That game, too, is tonight at 7 o'clock. Let's get it to the River City Rumble Hardball Edition. North Florida beat JU 15-4 last night, Mia, thanks to Nick Moneill. He went 3 of 5, 4 runs, 4 RBIs. That's impressive stuff.
Yeah, and look, this is a JU team that you could make the argument was among the best in the ASUN conference for a while there, a 9-game win streak.
Absolutely.
Now they've lost 6 in a row, a game of runs, as many like to say, to throw a cliche out there.
And I heard Chris Hayes join Frank yesterday, Frank and Hayes, as they were live at JU. And, he said, we've just made some mistakes, but we'll get it right. And so they obviously have another chance tonight and then tomorrow as well to try and close the season with 2 wins. And you couldn't ask for 2 better people to be head coaches of those 2 baseball teams, and Joe Mercadante and Chris Hayes.
UNF now 4-game win streak, also sitting at 500, much like the Florida Gators. I haven't done enough intel on the ASUN baseball tournament, Lauren. You probably have done a little bit more than me as far as how the ASUN has fared this season across not just their own conference play, but also nationally. Certainly JU was among those receiving votes in a couple different mid-major polls as recently as 2 weeks ago. So I would think JU is probably like the class of the ASUN, or was before the 6-game losing streak.
So Austin P is 24-4 in the ASUN, and so is Stetson, 24-4.
All right, so those are the 2 teams to beat.
Yeah, those are definitely the teams to beat, like you said. And look, when it comes to baseball in general, it's one of those sports that I feel like there's this romance about it, right? Like you sit as a child, you sit there and you can converse with people, but that ping of the bat, like no matter what you're doing, whether you're in line for a hot dog or you're going to get a beer, you hear that ping of the bat and everything stops.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
I love the sound of the cleats on concrete. I love it all.
I've had a couple of Heeligans text in. I know that there were some issues with the FM side of things this morning. Hopefully those...
Yeah, there's been some atmospheric pressure, or it's related to the technical difficulties that we had yesterday with, the transformer blowing.
Yeah, so know that that's been brought to the attention of our engineering staff. I don't think it's affected the baseball, but it may have affected the airwaves, but that's all right. You, of course, can find us on the app, live streaming, YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Absolutely. By the way, softball is also going on, and our friend Irish O'Fell, who covers Florida State for War Chant, he talked to us about the football team last week. He tweeted out, FSU and NFL legend Derek Brooks got here early to support his daughter, Dania Brooks, in the NCAA Tallahassee Regional. She's the starting third baseman for USF, not for FSU. The Bulls will face Auburn at noon. FSU and Robert Morris play at 2:30. Again, that's the Tallahassee Regional when it comes to softball. And then there's also softball in Gainesville as well.
Hey, don't forget Columbia, South Carolina, too.
Right, no, I've got it all. I'm going to start with Florida because we were just talking about the Gators. And so in the Gainesville Regional, you have Mercer versus number 3 Florida at 4:30 today. That's on ESPN Plus. And then game 2, well, it's actually the first game. I don't know why they listed it that, but Georgia Tech versus FAU is 2 p.m. today. We will get to Columbia, South Carolina, because we also wanted to mention, and Molly put this in one of her updates as well, senior Allison Benning was named ASUN Player of the Year, ASUN Pitcher of the Year, ASUN Scholar Athlete of the Year. UNF plays Virginia today at 3 p.m. in the first game of the Columbia Regional. The other 2 teams, South Carolina, of course, and Elon.
Yes. Yep. And for UNF, this is their first ever NCAA tournament appearance, in case you missed it. So kudos to a coaching staff that, hey, quickest to 100 wins for Jeff Conrad and company in UNF's program history. They've only been a D1 school, I know, for 15, 16 years here, but at the same time, impressive to see a program jump out to a 45-13 record in just year 3.
Yeah, very impressive. All right, we'll get back to football on the other side as Cody Stoops joins us. He covers the Texans. Our final stop on our tour of the AFC South is Houston. That's next on 10 to Next on 92.5 FM.
Helmets and heels.
Covered by Lee and Kate's Glass.
New look, same great service.
Now, a PGA Championship update on 1010XL. Teed up by St. John's Middle School Athletic Association and TopDressing.com.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the 107th PGA Championship, sponsored by Prevagen. Prevagen, made for your brain. Scotty Scheffler about an hour away from teeing off in the second round. He hasn't been stretching in a jail cell this morning, so that's already an improvement from the second round of last year's PGA at Valhalla. Scheffler in that megawatt group with Rory McIlroy and Xander Schauffele the first 2 days.
I feel like I can learn a lot from watching guys play, and obviously during a major championship round, that's not really the time to watch. I'm pretty focused on myself out there, but there's always little things you can pick up on from players, and I love being able to play against the best, and there's nothing better than being paired with them as well.
None of Scheffler, McIlroy, or Schauffele played to their standard on Thursday, but Scheffler posted the best score, 2 under 69. He is 6 back of Jonathan Vegas from Venezuela. Vegas 8 under. He's through 10 holes today and 3 shots clear of the field. Max Homa among those at 5 under. Homa 7 under today as he plays his final hole. I'm Ted Emmerich, Westwood One Sports.
David is a real Prevagen user, and this is his story.
Nice to meet you. My name is David. I've been a pharmacist for 44 years, and I'm from Flowery Branch, Georgia. When I first started taking Prevagen, I noticed stuff just seemed to come together and fit like a jigsaw puzzle. When I have customers come in, I recommend Prevagen. Number one, because it's safe and effective, does not require a prescription, and I've been taking it quite a while myself, and I know it works. I wouldn't recommend something like Prevagen if I didn't think it was worth it because it works so good for me. And I love it when the customers come back in and tell me, David, that really works so good. It makes my day.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Testimonialist was compensated for their time.
The joys of home ownership. Until the plumbing backs up, the AC goes out, or your septic system decides to act up. The good news? You don't have to call 3 different companies when things go wrong. Just call my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. They're your one-stop shop for plumbing, septic, and air conditioning all under one roof. So whether it's a leak, a clog, or your system just won't cool, they've got you covered. Don't take my word for it. Check out their 5-star reviews on Google. From the moment you call to the moment the tech solves your issue, you will get first-class service every step of the way. Give them a ring at 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. One call does it all.
It's Work Zone Awareness Week, Florida. Every year, lives are lost in work zones because of speeding and distractions. When you see orange cones, remember, slow down, follow the signs, and stay focused. Workers are counting on you to get home safely, and so are their families. Let's work together to prevent crashes and save lives. A safety reminder from the Florida Department of Transportation. Slow your roll. Safety's the goal.
It's May, and that means it's Founders Month here at Sonny's Barbecue. Every Wednesday, we're celebrating with $7 pork big deal served with a sidekick and a drink, or one of our pork and rib combos for just $11. It's our way of saying thanks for letting us be your local pitmasters. So stop in for great deals on the Q you crave. Founders Month specials at Sonny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since '68.
Swing into the hottest party of the summer. Join First Tee North Florida at the Yards on June 12th for the Summer Soiree Baja Beach Bash. We're bringing the vibrant spirit of Cabo San Lucas to the First Coast for an evening of family-friendly fun. Enjoy live music, craft cocktails, golf games, raffle prizes, and delicious Mexican-inspired cuisine from Taco Lee. Golf, fiesta, and philanthropy, all to support the impactful programs of the First Tee. Visit firstteenorthflorida.org/summer soiree to secure your tickets today.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentists and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental. With light sedation for cleaning, then deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, 2 locations in Jacksonville.
How many Grand Slam home runs did Yankee slugger Don Mattingly hit in his career?
Filing an insurance claim following a storm shouldn't be an ordeal. Southern Oak Insurance's claim team prepares for catastrophic situations well in advance. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
New York Yankees Don Mattingly hit 6 Grand Slams in 1987, but none throughout the rest of his 15-year career.
Southern Oak Insurance. This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On May 16, 1980, at the NBA Finals, the Los Angeles Lakers defeated the Philadelphia 76ers in a 4-2 series victory, securing their 7th championship title.
Join us at Miller Electric May 29th from 4 to 7 p.m. We're on the lookout for talented people, from entry-level to experienced electricians and foremen, security system installation and service technicians, fire alarm system service technicians, and both senior and junior VDV technicians. This is your chance to get hired on the spot. Meet the managers, indulge in delicious food, and snag some awesome giveaways. Don't miss out on this electrifying chance to power up your career. Miller Electric, May 29th, 4 to 7 p.m., 6805 South Point Parkway.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes here with a challenge. A challenge might not be the best choice in words, so let's say an opportunity. Take the opportunity to lose 40 by the 4th with Awaken 180. It sounds a little different when you put a real goal to it, doesn't it? Maybe you looked at the scale this morning and it read 230 pounds. How about it reading 190 by the 4th? Maybe the scale says 300. Wouldn't the number 260 be a little nicer on your eyes and on your joints? It's attainable if you have the same results we all had with Awaken 180. I dropped 40 pounds in 9 weeks. Hacker dropped his first 40 in just 6 weeks. Dempsey, Blue, and everyone else I know, same results. And we've kept it off. The best thing about Awaken 180 weight loss, it will completely change the way you think, see, and feel about food. The results are real, attainable, and the process simple with Awaken 180. Take the opportunity and drop 40 by the 4th. It all starts with just one call to Awaken 180 weight loss. Call 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
As you promised me that I was more than all the miles.
Our tour de force around the AFC South ahead of the start of OTAs in the May of 2025 continues with our friend Cody Stutes out in H-Town. Does a great job covering the Houston Texans. Cody, happy Friday, my friend. How are you doing?
Happy Friday to you and everybody in the greater Jacksonville area. Appreciate you having me on. Talk a little bit about AFC South. I'm going last, right? Like the Texans, as the AFC South champs, get to go last, right?
You are indeed in the cleanup spot, although I guess because it's the 3-hole, maybe not so much, but if you want to include the Jaguars, I digress. Glad we played you on. I don't know if maybe you would prefer some Morgan Wallen, as we've been playing a little bit of the new album here today on a Friday, Feel Good Friday edition of Helmets and Heels, a little Noah Kahan instead. What say you?
I'm probably leaning a little bit more towards Noah than Morgan, so okay. I appreciate that.
Good, but the question is, are you leaning more towards Cam Robinson or Blake Fisher? Ha, ha, ha. Maybe Arante Irsay being the starting left tackle for the Houston Texans feels like a logical place to start, Cody, because that's been the biggest talking point regarding the two-time AFC South Division champions, this idea of did they do enough to change, rectify the shortcomings along their offensive line?
Pretty underwhelming offseason for a team that needed to revamp their offensive line. That's how it feels to me. I mean, the biggest question for me wasn't totally the tackle situation last year for the Texans. It was the interior of the offensive line, and they promptly went out and added just 2 interior bodies. One, a veteran who never misses a game but never plays particularly well, in Laken Tomlinson, and the other, a player that got benched in the middle of the year for the Minnesota Vikings last year, and Ed Ingram. Oh, and by the way, Laramie Tunsil got traded, and then they had to figure out what the left tackle situation was going to be. So a number of options. I have to imagine Cam Robinson's getting the first crack at things. You pay a guy $12 million, he starts the race with a little bit of a lead over Ariante Ursary, their second-round pick, or maybe Blake Fisher, who has played left tackle in his football life but hasn't played left tackle recently ever and looked terrible when he filled in for Laramie Tunsil last year. So weird offensive line situation, but here's what the Texans are betting on with their offensive line. They're betting that their new offense under offensive coordinator Nick Caley is going to be better organized and have a better blocking scheme than last year. And they're betting on their promoted offensive line coach, Cole Popovich, who was one of the handpicked successors to the Patriots' legendary Dante Scarnecchia back in New England. They're betting on those two coaches coaching up what they do have and taking them to an acceptable level. Look, the Texans were one of the 4 or 5 worst offensive lines last year. If they were the 20th best offensive line this year, my goodness, it'd feel like they have a great wall over there blocking for C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, Cody, me and I were talking about it earlier this week, and I said, I think whoever has the best offensive line in the AFC South probably wins the division. It kind of seems like it'll go like that. Of course, quarterback play as well. But when I think Texans, and I think most people in Jacksonville, when they think Texans right now, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that Azeez Al-Shaair ended Trevor Lawrence's season with that hit. Is that still discussed in Houston?
I don't know that it gets brought up much. I know that was one of the first things I noticed was when are the Texans going to Jacksonville? Will there be opportunities for that to sort of dissipate? And then they put it pretty early on in the schedule, so I have to imagine the Boo Birds will be out for Al-Shaair in that matchup. And it doesn't seem like Al-Shaair and Lawrence have, had any sort of contact or buried the hatchet or anything. And I certainly understand why they wouldn't want to have that conversation or talk to each other. But that's a game that early on's got a little bit of juice to it. And I know sometimes the Texans have made some comments about it's hard to bring the juice in Jacksonville sometimes with the crowd situation. And sometimes you kind of get lulled in as you go in to play a road game at Jacksonville. I wonder if that is maybe some manufactured excitement for them for that matchup, and it could lead to a pretty hot start in that game. But, yeah, it's definitely going to be a conversation point that week. And, Azeez Al-Shaair, I think the conversation around Houston was more about how the league treated him, not so much about what he did to Trevor Lawrence, but that'll pop back up when that game shows up on the schedule early on.
Oh, Trevor doesn't have beef with Azeez, Cody. Lauren does. It's okay. It's all good. Cody Stutes, our guest.
As I should.
On the Checkmate Coatings hotline, you can find him at Cody_Stutes on X and, of course, at Houston Football on YouTube. You also can catch him with Landry Locker weekdays, S&L. Cody, I do want to clarify a couple different points along that offensive line before we talk wide receivers. Obviously, some massive offseason additions to that room in Houston. But on the offensive line, certainly you did a great job kind of illustrating the situation with Cole Popovich being elevated. But ultimately, I do want to note the Texans, who had one of the worst offensive lines, one of the 4 worst in football last year, elevated the assistant coach. They did change the OC. Curious your thoughts on what Nick Caley can do. Obviously, pretty heralded coming from L.A., much like so many who have come here to Duval County in the offseason. Additionally, the Laramie Tunsil situation for me is so fascinating. And in speaking with so many around the league, it truly, in my opinion, it truly was a great job by D'Amico Ryans and Nick Caserio to draw a line in the sand and say, look, if you're not going to get with the standard, you are gone. And while you may be a top 5 tackle in the National Football League, if you are okay with accruing penalties, if you are okay with setting a negative example for younger players, you're gone. Is that how you interpreted the situation locally as well?
The Texans have a motto, swarm. And that's their team mentality and motto. Laramie Tunsil's not sworn. He was never sworn. Laramie Tunsil cared about being really good. The only time Laramie Tunsil got excited about talking about football was when he talked about how much money he made. And he was the captain, I guess because the guys liked him, but he did not do captain duties. He did not hold the other 4 guys accountable. They played 4-1 on the offensive line. 4 guys were trying to do one job, and Laramie Tunsil did his, and he didn't care what happened to the other 4 guys. So the Texans move on from him and try to get the everybody pulling the rope in the same direction. I mean, look, Tunsil's very good at what he does, and when he is bought in and he wants to be a part of the team, there's some really high end stuff. But you factor in the age, the amount of money that he was making. I mean, they sat Laramie Tunsil down and told him that he was making too much money and they weren't paying him again. That's the reason they got rid of him. But there's always some extra around it, and changing the mood and mentality of that offensive line room is certainly something that they wanted to do. You mentioned the promotion of the assistant offensive line coach to O-line coach. I think definitely an interesting conversation, but Cole Popovich worked with Nick Caley when they were both in New England, so there's some familiarity there. And I do wonder if, when Caley was in New England and Popovich was in New England, that was an organization that did not have stars, so to speak, on the offensive line. They had some sixth-rounders. They had an undrafted free agent at center. They had a fourth-rounder at right guard. They had a third-rounder at left guard. So they were content to sort of have nameless, faceless, successful groups on the offensive line in New England. And I do wonder if that's going to be the approach for the Texans is, hey, these guys are going to be stars. They're just going to show up, do their work. Some days they're going to have really good days. Some days they're going to have okay days. We're just going to make it work with what we have. And certainly a risky approach because they've spent some funny money this offseason, and I probably would be a lot more confident in this offensive line if they'd spent, I don't know, another $20 million or so on some more notable names along the offensive line.
Cody, let's move from the big uglies to what I think is the most fascinating position group on the Texans, and that's the receiving corps because, of course, you traded for Christian Kirk, and then you've got Tank Dell, who's still recovering from the injury, and then the guys that will play a lot, obviously Nico Collins, John Mechie, and then the two guys drafted, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Knoll. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, Tank Dell's not going to play this season, and I say that pretty confidently with his injury, which was unfortunate, though, what he suffered last year, and it's kind of put his career in a little bit of a question. I just don't see any scenario where Tank Dell can play this year. And they operated like they couldn't count on Tank Dell for this season. The addition of Christian Kirk, drafting two wide receivers. They really like Jaden Higgins. I feel like they at least had a conversation in the building about drafting the Iowa State wide receiver at 25 before they traded back. And the spot that they got to, they knew there was only one team in front of them. In Cleveland, they felt like Cleveland wasn't going to take him, and they really like Jaden Higgins. And he's a Senior Bowl guy, and this was it was the first year DeMeco Ryans made his way down to the Senior Bowl, so he got to see him in person. They drafted a ton of Senior Bowl guys this year, so they really like seeing those guys in person. They love the competition aspect, the mentality that Higgins has, and then the replication of Nico Collins' skill set is important for two things. One, not many teams have two-ish Nico Collinses, and Nico Collins misses time. So if you have a guy that is similar to Nico Collins, that if Nico Collins inevitably gets hurt again, maybe Higgins can fill in for him a little bit better than some of the other guys. Noel's a really fun one because I felt like he was miscast as a team that maybe drafts him and makes him a number 2 wide receiver right away. But his ability to just now kind of ease in with a guy to watch as a veteran like Christian Kirk, who has a super similar skill set to him and who he gets a lot of comps to. I like Noel. He's one of the fastest guys on the team already, so that's a new element they haven't had in the wide receiver room for a couple of years. And then Kirk, consummate professional. If healthy, I believe in him being productive. So I have basically no worry about him. I like that room a lot, and if Nico Collins stays healthy and Nick Caley's as good as advertised, they ought to be able to put some points up, and maybe, just maybe, Jaden Higgins can find himself shouting at the offensive rookie of the year conversation. But maybe. Let's put that in the maybe category.
That's a sneaky, nice little dark horse there, Cody Stutes. I wonder if Travis Hunter will have something to say about that here locally in Jacksonville. Let's flip it on over to the defensive side of the ball for the Texans. Obviously, their strength, it's the backbone of this team. It's what DeMeco Ryans is most known for, hangs his hat on, building the trenches, building a defense that swarms, to your point, and that gets after the quarterback. What do you make of the depth? I know we had this conversation this time a year ago behind Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, not just on the edge, but even in the interior too.
The interior, it's so strange. For a team that preaches the trenches, they really have a lot of sort of just nameless, faceless guys on both the offensive line and the interior and the defensive line on the interior. They've got a lot of options at defensive tackle. None of them spectacular. None of them super exciting. But it feels to me like DeMeco Ryans very much wants the defensive tackles to just do a lot of the dirty work and let those defensive ends go out there and just really attack things. Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, best pass rush duo in football, in my opinion, and the stats sort of bear that out from last year as well. They're fantastic. And they've got a bunch of guys behind them that are worthwhile fill-in pieces and options that keep them fresh. DeMeco Ryans, he's not afraid of a hockey change. 4 guys in, 4 guys out on that defensive line, and it's fascinating to watch. And sometimes it puts some weird third-down rushers on the field, and I'm like, hey, where's Will Anderson? Where's Danielle Hunter? Why is Derek Barnett out there? But the Texans like the depth. They like that the depth doesn't have to play a ton, but they can trust those guys. And one of the big things that they've hammered home with keeping some of the guys and keeping some of the depth pieces specifically is, Emil Hunter mentioned it. He goes, now that I know this system, I'm going to be even better in my second year in this system. Derek Barnett's played in this system and the way that the Texans want him to play for a couple of years now, and he came on towards the back half of this past season as a guy that was a little disappointing in Philadelphia, but he's been a really nice role player for the Texans. And maybe, just maybe, I'm thinking in the back of my head, just maybe, Dylan Horton, after getting past his scare with cancer, as he gets further away from that, former fourth-round pick, top of the fourth round. So, Nick Caserio made a little investment in this guy. Could he have something with this defensive line? For defensive tackles, you do the dirty work. Defensive ends, you get the glory.
Cody, our other co-host Taylor Dahl is on vacation, but I know if she was here, she'd be saying something about C.J. Gardner-Johnson because she does not like him, similarly to
Lauren is a Gator grad, though.
Yeah, I am, but he is a trash talker, as we've seen throughout his NFL career. Any sort of buzz going on with him so far since he's gotten to Houston?
I love that they were able to add C.J. Gardner-Johnson to this secondary because it was already a really fun and impressive secondary. And now you add him to the equation to go along with one of the best cornerback duos in football, Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter. But the thing with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, his press conference, his introductory press conference, while wearing a very crazy Cam Newton-esque hat that he thought, looked great. I digress. But he said, look, DeMeco Ryans did not bring me here to win the AFC South. He did not bring me here to win the AFC Championship. I'm here to help this team win a Super Bowl. I want to go to the Super Bowl again, and I want to win again. That's what I want, and that's why I'm here. And so I'm here to help fine-tune everything about this team that I can, that I know from being on a Super Bowl team. And I thought that was pretty notable because the Texans are very publicly one game at a time. Next game's the most important. But every now and then, one of the players lets it slip that they have high expectations of themselves, and they believe they can get to certain levels. So I do wonder with the C.J. Gardner-Johnson rounding out that secondary, if they now feel like they have maybe yet again a Super Bowl defense where that offense, if it comes along, maybe they're actually going where no Texas team has gone before, which is initially the AFC Championship game, and then perhaps maybe San Francisco next year.
I still have a homemade GIF. That's what the kids call it. It's a GIF, not a GIF, right? From when C.D. Deuce was at Florida in his final year at Doak Campbell Stadium, Cody, when he went into the crowd and he found a severed Seminole head and he lifts it up. So if you need the GIF, let me know. I can send it your way. Cody Stutes covering the Houston Texans. As we wrap with you, Cody, on the Checkmate Coatings hotline, what will define success for Houston? Is it Super Bowl or bust in 2025?
They've got to get further than they got last year. A couple of years ago, they were a half away from the AFC Championship game. Last year, they were a quarter away from the AFC Championship game. Well, what's left now? You can't be 5 minutes away. Go to the AFC Championship game. Play in a game that this organization has never played in before, and get there and then see what happens. So you give yourself a shot to get there. But it's not going to be easy. This division is better than it was a year ago. I like what Jacksonville's done this offseason. Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr., my goodness, that's going to be a fun matchup twice a year with the Texans secondary. And those guys, the Colts, they're a quarterback away, but their quarterback situation is really, really bad. It's like the division's tougher. You've got to find yourself in the AFC, playoff pecking order. If you make it there, it's not easy for the AFC South to get out of that 4 seed in the AFC. So that's something that's a little bit difficult for the Texans as they have those high aspirations. But AFC Championship game or bust for me. That's the only way this team's going to be successful in 2025. And in addition to that, I need to know at the end of this year, C.J. Stroud's going to be worth that mega contract he's going to sign next offseason.
Ooh, I like it. Spicy. One Cody Stutes on the Checkmate Coatings hotline joining us from H-Town. Appreciate all you do covering the Texans and, of course, for hopping on with us on Helmets and Heels, brother man.
Y'all are the best. Thank you so much.
There he goes. And again, you can find him on X at Cody_Stutes. And as I have contended for weeks, Lauren, the best quarterback on the Indianapolis Colts roster is Tyler Warren.
It could be Riley Leonard. Taylor would say, since she's a Notre Dame fan. We will talk some basketball on the other side, some golf. We got lots to do. It's a Feel Good Friday on 10 to Next on 92.5 FM.
Lee and Kate's Glass, Friday on Helmets and Heels. Now, a PGA Championship update on 1010XL, teed up by St. John's Middle School Athletic Association and TopDressing.com.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the 107th PGA Championship, brought to you by Fisher Investments. Johnny Vegas not taking a step back yet in the second round at Quail Hollow Club. Vegas slept on the lead at a major for the first time in his life after a 7 under 64. He's 1 under today through 12 holes now, 8 under and leading by 2. Matthew Pavon from France is in second at 6 under. Michael Thorbjornsen, 23 years old, in just his first year on the PGA Tour, joining him at 6 under with a birdie at 14. At 5 under, Max Homa, Aaron Rai, and Ryan Gerard. Homa fired a 7 under 64 today after a 73 on Thursday. Among the top 24 players on the leaderboard, only 3 have won major titles. 2-time U.S. Open champ Bryson DeChambeau, also Matt Fitzpatrick and Keegan Bradley, all 3 under and tied for 13th. I'm Ted Emmerich, Westwood One Sports.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Mia here for Closets by Design. It's been a few months since they built my custom closet, and you know how much I love it, not to mention my whole family. Everyone at 1010 is always asking me about it. So with summer here, why not finally create that custom garage workspace you want, huh? Think tool storage, workbenches, flooring, a place for everything to go. Closets by Design creates custom solutions for every space, lifestyle, and budget, and that includes all you guys too. Call to schedule your free in-home consultation and receive 40% off plus an additional 15% off. Closets by Design, 1-800-293-3744, or visit closetsbydesign.com.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event. Up to 50% off, plus free home delivery. Limited time. Exclusively the Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Chelsea here from Renewal by Anderson. Before you invite family and friends over for summer fun, treat yourself and your home to new windows and doors from Renewal by Anderson. Renewal by Anderson has a great deal to get you started. We're excited to offer our Window of Opportunity Savings Event. Buy 2 windows or patio doors and get the third 60% off. Plus 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 12 months. Restrictions apply. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation today. License number CGC 1527613.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
PRP treatment is kind of the thing these days, and in many cases, it eliminates the need for surgery. This is Sheridan Tootin, and my experience with PRP from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has been nothing short of great. I'm really feeling much better now. Ask your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist doctor about PRP treatment.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros.
Relieve pain.
bring you back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
2 classic albums, 1 night of hits. Styx presents The Grand Illusion. Kevin Cronin Band presents REO Speedwagon's High Infidelity. June 2nd, Daly's Place. Brotherhood of Rock Tour. Plus Don Felder, formerly of the Eagles. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. 2 classic albums in their entirety. Styx, The Grand Illusion, REO Speedwagon's High Infidelity. Don't miss the event of the summer.
Hey Jacksonville, it's Dan Hicken with a game changer. I've tested the field, and Checkmate Coating is my new go-to for durable, jaw-dropping floor coatings. Better play, better results. I'm Brendan from Checkmate Coatings. Our precision coatings make your floors the MVP of any space. Slam dunk your floors at checkmatecoatings.com. Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Want a simple way to boost your company's image without a big renovation? A fresh paint job in your brand's colors can increase recognition up to 80%. At Performance Painting, we help companies stand out with clean, on-brand finishes that impress clients and energize employees. From color consultations to low-odor coatings that won't disrupt operations, we've got you covered. Visit performance-painting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
Looking for a fun-filled evening the whole family can enjoy? Discover the thrill of indoor football, a fast-paced, action-packed sport where excitement meets family fun. Check out your hometown Sharks this Saturday, May 17th. Kickoff at 7. Ask about family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 food vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card, all for only $100. Get tickets at jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. 904-621-0700.
Prosser here, looking for a fun-filled evening that the whole family can enjoy. Our Jacksonville Sharks are back in town this Saturday. Discover the thrill of indoor football, fast-paced, action-packed sport where excitement beats family fun. This Saturday, May 17th, kickoff 7 o'clock. Ask about our family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 food vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card. All for only $100. For ticketing, go to jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. Go Sharks!
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Visit sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update brought to you by Lone Pronto. The NFL fully unveiled their schedule for the 2025 season on Wednesday, which was a highly anticipated event throughout the league. With lots of excitement ahead of the season with a new coaching staff and front office, as well as the addition of Travis Hunter, fans are itching to get their first look at the revamped franchise. The Jaguars will host their first preseason game here in Jacksonville on August 9th at 7 p.m. against the Steelers as the bank welcomes fans back for a game for the first time since last December. Some headliner games on the schedule include their home opener, Week 1 hosting the Carolina Panthers, Week 3 hosting the Texans, Week 4 in San Fran at 4:25, Week 5 hosting the Kansas City Chiefs for Monday Night Football, and their London game Week 7 as they take on the Los Angeles Rams. It's 90 degrees at 103. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Wow! I feel good.
It's a feel-good Friday.
We're gonna have a good time together.
And that would be good.
So good.
Text or tweet something that makes you feel good today.
I hear good things. Really good things.
Cheers to the freaking weekend. Drink to the Yeah, all the time we miss Taylor Doll on the show, but especially when the Caleb Williams Bears news broke yesterday as far as Caleb didn't want to go to the Bears, and then reports are, that no one in the organization would help Caleb watch film. We'll have to get into all of that on Monday's show as we are live at the Guggen at Hidden Hills on Monday. But tons of Caleb dissection going on over the last 24 hours in the world of the NFL. But as far as Feel Good Friday, Brian and I went to see Cameron Marlowe last night at a new venue that just opened up in Jacksonville called Five. And it was incredible. One of those intimate venues. Kind of reminded us a little bit of back in the day when we had the place Freebird at the beach. That's now Surfer the Bar.
Yep.
Because it has that super intimate vibe. It was fantastic. Cameron covered Teddy Swims, the song Lose Control. I Lose Control. His voice was just unbelievable. And so it was just, like I said, I'm a huge country music fan, as everyone knows. But to see people that sound just as good in person as they do on an album is always just so fun, so magical.
Good kickstart to a Feel Good Friday and a Feel Good weekend, which promises to be among the most toasty that we've had here on the First Coast so far this year. I had a buddy of mine from college who is, I don't want to say Daniel's become a Jaguars fan because he's still a Giants fan, but in living in the New York City area, he has found some of you Heeligans out there and become friends with them through Run Club, who are massive Jaguar fans and are from here. So I woke up to a text from him saying, should I be coming for the Jaguars-Jets game? And I sent back a Google-generated AI note of what is the average temperature in New Jersey in December, which the average temperature is somewhere between 25 and 39 degrees, as at least Google reports.
I'm surprised it's that high, honestly.
Yeah. So yeah. And then I was like, don't believe Google when it says that the average high here in December is like, I think it said 55. And I was like, no, it's much more in like the high 60s, low 70s. And I was like, and now with that said, I'm going to go outside where it's probably already 80 degrees outside in the month of May. So when we're not the surface of the sun, it's a pretty nice place to be. But excited to get a little pool time in this weekend, despite the surface of the sun temperatures.
Well, the second major going on can bring a lot of people inside, or at least in the shade, to watch the PGA Championship. We'll talk about that in a second. Two things have stood out to me so far when it comes to the world of Lauren Brooks. One, Boogie Fland is just...
Oh, yeah.
He's just...
We need to discuss that.
It's been a rumor now for so long that I need this to magically finally be done. Like, I just need Boogie Fland to be on the Gators men's basketball team for 2025. And then also, you'll find this hilarious. So yesterday, our good friend JJ LaSelva is on a flight to Boston to go watch the Braves take on the Red Sox. He ends up sitting next to, when I was growing up, my parents' best friends.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the parents and the one of the sons and his wife were all headed up also to see the Braves play the Red Sox in Boston. And I don't know how they got, or how they figured out that I and JJ work together or anything, but they must have just started talking sports, and then it all came out. And so JJ was texting me from the plane like, hey, I'm here with these people. And then I told him they're diehard Florida State fans. And he said, oh, yes, I've already found that out. I told them I'm a Canes fan.
JJ's getting the Jacksonville to Boston pipeline ready for me, since we're going to head up in June to go see Yankees Red Sox at Fenway. So
that'll be fun.
I guess everybody's making their Fenway pilgrimage this summer.
JJ had never been to Fenway.
Yeah,
which
Kevin's never been either.
Okay,
so,
it's one of those ballpark bucket list sports items for sure.
Oh, I cried the first time I walked in, and my college roommate, Emily LaPierre, shout out to LaPierre, she was like, why are you crying? Like, you refuse to wear anything red. You refuse to wear anything Red Sox, and now you're crying. And I was like, well, yeah, because I'm a sports fan, and this is like a cathedral. Like, this is literally a living museum, and you have to pay homage to it, because it is like it goes beyond just the exhibits. It's like when you're walking the Green Monster, you're just like, oh my God, like I'm actually here. This is real. And that was in 32-degree temperatures. Oof. In which Chris Sale, who was pitching for the Red Sox at the time, decided to go without sleeves back in 2018.
All right, so Boogie Fland, can you get this done for me?
Yeah. So
I need him to transfer from Arkansas to Florida.
He is. Like, I haven't listened to it yet.
Alongside Xavier Lee.
I have instructed, and this is not any favoritism or anything, because certainly Zach Alberverdi, our good buddy with Gators Online, is following the situation as well. Mm-hmm. But, I've instructed our multimedia team that when Jeff Goodman tweets out that it's real, then it's real. Up until then, I know there's been a couple other reports floating around from potentially some unverified sources that the deal is done. Jeff Goodman was out here with Todd Golden at Wrigley Field earlier this week when he threw out the first pitch.
Another cathedral when it comes to baseball.
Amen to that. So that's where if Jeff Goodman tweets it out, it's real. He, of course, is part of the Field of 68, which they just tweeted out 8 minutes ago. A clip from their podcast earlier this week of is Florida the leader in the clubhouse?
Yes.
And then the latest with the googly eye emoji. So for the sake of good radio, I'm not going to play it off of my laptop right now. But I would argue that the fact that Jeff Goodman earlier this week has been hinting that it potentially will be coming. I'm in the camp of it's going to happen. I think they're just finalizing the dollars and cents, and certainly the NFL combine or the NBA combine ongoing this week in Chicago is maybe kind of the linchpin moment of, hey, they're just kind of sorting through all that, seeing exactly if Alex Condon, who, by the way, told reporters at the combine, his expectation is that right now he's being told he's projected to go somewhere between 25 and 35.
Yeah, I need him to go in the second round.
Well, that's what he told the reporters. He said, if I don't come out of this week with a top 15 guarantee, I'm going back to Florida. And I think that's part of what
Come on back.
They're waiting on that, because then in turn, if you're Alex Condon, you know you have some leverage with Florida. Do you turn around and say, well, I need X, Y, and Z?
Sure.
And then you've still got to account for Ruben Chinyelu. Like, there's multiple.
Florida's not paying Denzel Aberdeen, so there's extra funds available.
And there that is. But is Boogie Flan really going to command $7 million? The answer is no.
7? No.
That's the rumor. It's going to be 3. That's been
I would
pretty much
expect
verified.
between $3 and $4 million. I think that's much more appropriate.
Right. But that's still a good chunk of change out of the NIL bucket, which I understand these are the defending national champions we're talking about. And that budget has exploded here in the last 2 months, let alone the last 3 years of Todd Golden in the NIL world. But yeah, I think that they're still waiting to announce it. Probably just because the Condon situation needs to get figured out first.
We shall see, but certainly Florida fans would have another reason to be excited. By the way, Jonathan Vegas just made a nice putt, and now he was the leader already at 9 under. He's now 10 under for the tournament. So good golf being done by Vegas, and then following him, Mathieu Pavon. He is 6 under. I'm sure I butchered his French name. And then Michael Thor Bjornsson is 6 under. So those two guys, Pavone and Thor Bjornsson, we need Joe Cowart here from the PGA Tour for some of these names. They are both 6 under, followed by Max Homa, who shot a 64 today.
Nice.
Really nice round by the Californian Max Homa. So he right now is 5 under, along with Ryan Gerard. And those are the only 2 at 5 under. And then you've got a bunch of guys at 4 under. As far as the biggest names on the golf course, a guy like Scotty Scheffler is about to tee off. He tees off at 147. He sits at 2 under. DeChambeau is on the course right now. He is 3 under for today, so he's 3 under for the golf tournament. John Rahm is 1 under. He tees off at 125. Xander Schauffele is 1 over. He tees off at 147. And Justin Thomas, your guy, Mia, my guy is Xander Schauffele. Justin Thomas is 3 over. He was 1 over today, so he is in the clubhouse at 3 over. Rory McIlroy is on the course in about 30 minutes. He also tees off at 147 alongside Scheffler and Schauffele. He is also 3 over. And then Taylor's guy at one point today was 3 under, Victor Hovland, but he's ended up right now he's 2 over. He's still on the golf course, so he's even.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, the fact that they're not like outside of that 9 under score.
Yeah.
I mean, it's even 3 over for JT is still within striking distance. And unfortunately for him, this has been the story of his 2025. Outside of Hilton Head, it's been one atrocious round where he shoots over par, and then he combats that with a 62 or a 63, a course record, and then finds himself in the middle of the pack the rest of the weekend. And so hopefully it's more shades of Hilton Head and not what we saw perhaps at the Players or some other tournaments earlier this year.
The projected cut line as of now is 1 over.
Okay.
So we shall see what happens the rest of the day.
The Goodman tweet, by the way, with regards to those of you still following and trying to figure out if Boogie Flan will indeed be coming to Gainesville. This was from Jeff Goodman earlier this week. Mike Miller went to Florida. Mike Miller reps Boogie Flan. Florida needs a guard. I'm just saying.
Hey,
and again, he's very plugged in, so that's why.
Like I said, I need Mia to make it happen on this Feel Good Friday. All right, I'll give you the Terminix Pest of the Day on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Get a Gator baseball chomp on 1010XL.
The Gators try to make a meal out of the Crimson Tide. Florida, Alabama. Tonight at 6:30 and tomorrow at 4 on 1010 AM.
Helmets and Heels.
Opened up by Lee and Kate's Glass.
Lauren Brooks here for Novus Glass of Jacksonville. We've all had to deal with a cracked windshield. Well, next time, go to a local company to get your windshield repaired for free at Novus Glass. And now Novus Glass is the only place in Jacksonville where you can get Turbo Tint. Turbo Tint looks amazing, and it will keep your ride cool and comfortable all summer long. Turbo Tint blocks up to 99% of harmful UV rays, so all of us here in the Sunshine State need Turbo Tint, and Novus Glass is the only place you can get it. You can book online today at orangepark.turbotint.com. That's orangepark.turbotint.com.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080.
It's May, and that means it's Founders Month here at Sonny's Barbecue. Every Wednesday, we're celebrating with $7 pork big deals served with a sidekick and a drink, or one of our pork and rib combos for just $11. It's our way of saying thanks for letting us be your local pitmasters. So stop in for great deals on the Q you crave. Founders Month specials at Sonny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since '68.
Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When you need help with any plumbing, septic, or AC issue, just give us a call and relax. We'll send one of our first-round draft picks to tackle your problems today. DuckDuckRooter.com. That's DuckDuckRooter.com.
Hacker here, taking you back exactly 1 year this week. I was only 9 weeks into Awaken 180 and it already dropped 54 pounds. Seriously, that's like shedding a first grader in just over 2 months. That's wild, right? Fast forward to today, 2 months into my maintenance, and I'm still down over 115 pounds. Not a pound put back on. It's like Awaken 180 gave my weight a permanent eviction notice. Now listen up. We all want to have goals, but sometimes they seem to be far-fetched. This one won't be. Dropping 40 pounds by the 4th with Awaken 180. It's doable when you have a proven program with an excellent coach by your side. Weekly weight loss, enjoying the ride, and reaching your goal. We all did it. No reason you can't. Set your goal, make the call, and reach 40 by the 4th with the solution for weight loss. Online at awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Go to WM.com/Duval.
Need or want cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all, selling or pawning. Get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out the Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At the Y, summer camps every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited, and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
Soft takes are boring. That's why I dropped the hammer on the Frangie Show. I'm Hayes Carlion. Listen for Hammer Time with Hayes, weekday afternoons on 1010XL.
Driven by Southside Kia.
John Haney here for Clearwater. And I know I'm always joking around, but this is a serious time for our coach and our team. So if you need a sprinkler system, a French drain, or seamless gutters, and you live in Duval County, then give us a call today.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers. And drainage too.
Duval.
ClearwaterJax.com.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers, floral, or plant arrangement. This is Max Fink with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at KuhnFlowers.com.
When it comes to towing products, your safety is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
Ackerman Urology has 4 convenient locations, providing advanced urological care to improve men's health and sexual vitality. Don't suffer through prostate, bladder, or kidney issues. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Yes, there's a reason RJ's playing Taylor Swift. Yeah. This is not a political conversation. I'm going to give that disclaimer. But it is time for the Terminix Pest of the Day. If you have pests or termites, you certainly don't want any of those. Mosquitoes, you don't want those either. Give Terminix a call or find them online at Terminix.com, Terminix. They'll come to your house and give you a free quote. They have taken care of Everbank Stadium, ViStar Ballpark, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, so many of your favorite event venues around town, and they do the same at our house. I have definitely noticed that we have way fewer mosquitoes than we did when it was hot last year. So the President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, tweeted at 9:30 a.m. this morning this. Has anyone noticed that since I said I hate Taylor Swift, she's no longer hot? I don't know that that's the best thing to do for any male.
Has the stock market shifted?
I don't know. Like I said, this isn't a political conversation. It's just, I feel like Taylor Swift is going to have, she's probably not going to have any rebuttal, but if I was in her camp, I would be upset about this.
Okay, so first let's start with, did you hear when the schedule came out and I sat down for crosstalk, or rather we were talking about primetime games that were rumored on Wednesday during crosstalk, and both Tony Smith and Mike Dempsey were fixated on the Mahomes family potentially coming back to Everbank Stadium because Brittany Mahomes made those nasty comments about Jacksonville. And I was like, let's talk about Taylor Swift getting, a preview of when she gets to perform here at the new Everbank Stadium in a few years. And they were like, oh, we didn't even think about that. So that was stunning to me because I think Taylor Swift is still going to go down in terms of the 2020s. And again, we'll see what the next 5 years hold. But certainly in the last 10 years, she is on the Mount Rushmore of most famous human beings on the planet right now. So the fact that Tony and Mike also were like, oh, that's right, Taylor Swift. If anything, Lauren, I would argue this.
I don't think either of them listen to her music.
No, I would argue this. I would argue, and I never thought I would say this in a million years, her dating Travis Kelce, shockingly enough, given that the NFL has found its way to weasel its way into dominating the calendar year, even at remote locations such as the second week of May with the schedule release, I feel like that's actually been good because now she's kind of been able to be behind the scenes. She's not as out in the open. I will tell you this as well, having interned at the Academy of Country Music back when Taylor was still considered country, she described it for us in an interview when I was working there as her life is in 3-year cycles. There's always the 1 year where she goes away for a while because she's writing behind the scenes. The next year, she's promoting the album that has since come out and planning the tour. The third year, she's touring, and then she goes back into hiding to start writing. So we're in that year.
She hasn't had any breakups recently, so what is she going to write about?
So that's the other big theory, big brain theory here. I am in the camp of she's going to have another album come out at some point. Certainly the Eras World Tour. Again, you want to talk about sports and cardio? I don't know how she did what she did for almost 2 years, performing 3 to 4 times a week for 4 hours with no break every single night. There are Olympic athletes that, in my estimation, are they're up there with Taylor in terms of how she was able to do what she did. I believe that they'll be, depending on her and Travis' situation, big brain theory here, she'll probably do one more album, then she'll go away for a while. Maybe have kids, whatever ends up happening there.
I know she met Jason Kelsey's newest baby, Finn.
Yep, so whatever happens there. And then probably in 2030, which is why it's perfect for Everbank Stadium, the new renovated Stadium of the Future, to debut then, because, hey, maybe we manifest a Super Bowl or something again here in Jacksonville. Then she will reemerge and finally perform at the Super Bowl once the kids are no longer in diapers. And then from
She
there,
could perform pregnant like Rihanna did.
correct. And then from there, that's where the worldwide tour part 2 will be debuted. And then she will bring her children, and then she'll be back in the spotlight. You have to remember, folks, like the script writing, it's not like there's some alternate universe. Like this is all her. I go back to, again, and I can anecdotally say this from working there. When she was, I believe, 13 years old in 2002, she met with a couple of prolific country artists of the 80s and 90s who were getting up there in their older years. And she was prompted, her and Brad Paisley, this conversation regarding, hey, why is Garth Brooks the greatest recording artist of all time? To which the answer was because he owns everything. He owns the narrative. He owns his marketing company. He owns his record label. And you have seen Brad Paisley be like, oh, that's interesting. And a 13-year-old Taylor Swift take that to heart. And now you look at her, and that is the reason why she's been one of the most dominant public figures, let alone musicians, here of the last decade.
Yeah, Garth Brooks is one of the only artists that did that. Emmanuel Thallerand, also known as E.T., texted us, just a heads up, major fire at Jacksonville International Airport in the parking garage. So wanted to let people know who are flying out today to be aware of that situation.
And the airport is closed right now, at least from what I saw from a couple of the different news stations.
Yeah. When it comes to the NBA tonight, RJ, we have Celtics at the Knicks. The Knicks, of course, lead 3-2, so they could put the Celtics out of their misery. Is that what happens?
Yes. I don't know. Just due to the fact that if I'm not counting on Boston having the shooting night that they had in that game 5, but it could happen. I mean, these are the NBA playoffs. All you need is a couple of games to roll around in your favor. And I think that question that you had as to who was going to be able to carry the load alongside Jaylen Brown, I mean, we saw it in different pockets. Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, Luke Cornett, who he played for, the Boston Celtics. So I have the Knicks.
Yep.
Winning this one and closing it out at the Garden. I mean, the energy at the Garden has been absolutely phenomenal, both inside and outside. But don't sleep on the Celtics. Don't sleep on Jaylen Brown, because he was able to show a lot of things in which he does very, very well, both offensively and defensively, as well as a playmaker for the Celtics, which really, he was the straw that stirred the entire drink for their offense. So I'm going to be tuned in. This should be an exciting game, and whether it ends in 6 or we go to a game 7, I think everybody should have their popcorn ready for this one.
Well, Jaylen Brown needed to pop off, and it's funny when you look back at the game by game numbers, RJ, during this series. Everyone acts as if he just fell off the face of the earth and his face was on a milk carton the first 3 games. Yes, he shot 35% or worse. He was 7 of 20, 8 of 23. I get it. But it wasn't like he wasn't still scoring in the double digits, because he was, but certainly took his game up to another level here in game 5 at home at the Garden earlier this week.
I mean, I haven't, to be honest, in their first 2 series with, the Orlando Magic and this being the second series, I haven't seen Jaylen Brown where it's a signature game from Jaylen Brown until the game 5. I mean, so if this is what it's going to take, I mean, listen, he felt that, he should be paid over, I believe, what was that, $300 million? I think that's what Boston gave him. So, I mean, at some point, it's that's something that has to show, even with a guy like Jason Tatum before the injury, still believing that, he's face of the league material and should be treated as such. You were the MVP last year for the Boston Celtics, and ultimately what resulted in an NBA title. So this was something that needed to be shown again. And I think with no Jason Tatum, this has to be a thing of who said it? Paul Pierce. When Paul Pierce, I believe, was in Brooklyn, and he said he had a game where he's screaming to the crowd, "That's why they brought me here." And I think that's what he is going to have to do in this game 6 in New York. He's going to have a game like he had similarly in game 5, and then look at the crowd and say, that's why I got paid what I got paid to be doing this, and in the highest moments and in the critical moments of the playoff series as we look to repeat. So this is definitely going to be interesting to see, because if it's a blowout, then, I think it's Boston all the way. But if it's in the last 5 minutes, I don't care who Boston has on their side. I'd rather have the ball in Jalen Brunson's hands. So.
Amen. Real quick before we hit break, RJ, can you tell the Heeligans the story of Paul Pierce had to walk to work? He made a bet, 35,000 steps. I've been talking with a lot of people about how healthy it is to get 10,000 steps a day. Paul Paul Pierce had like quadruple that.
Yeah, he lost his bet.
Yeah, he lost a bet, and then he walked 35,000 steps to the TV studio.
So what he essentially said, if Boston had lost, I believe it was game 3, that he would walk from home to work. And I thought he was full of crap, but they lost, and he was outside. I think he Instagram lived the whole thing, at least from what I had seen just on, news articles and everything like that. So
he
Instagram lived it. And,
in 8 hours.
20 miles in 8 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's why, this is not as fun, but that's why you don't make outlandish bets like that.
God. What did Dan Hicken walk? I think that was 10 miles in 3 hours or something like that. So, yeah, that
Sounds
checks
right.
out. Oh, my God.
Yeah, but yeah, it is good to walk at least 10,000 steps a day. It helps reduce the likelihood of getting dementia. I do know that. All right, one segment to go on Helmets and Heels. I want to let everybody hear from Tony Baselli, who joined the NFL Network, talking about Travis Hunter. You are listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Now, a PGA Championship update on 1010XL. Teed up by St. John's Middle School Athletic Association and TopDressing.com.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the 107th PGA Championship, furnished by University of Maryland Global Campus. Jonathan Vegas isn't playing around at Quail Hollow. At 13, he had 9 feet for birdie.
Up to the hole, breaking to the right, caught the left edge, and it swirled on in clockwise to the bottom of the cup for Johnny Vegas. 9 under par with a birdie at 13 here at the par 3.
Tom Moore made the call on Sirius XM, and Vegas followed with another birdie at 14. Vegas has never finished in the top 20 at a major, and yes, it's Friday, but he leads by 4. Vegas 10 under, Michael Thorbjornsen and Matthew Pavon at 6 under. Top 70 and ties make the cut, +1 the projected cut line. Jordan Spieth just beyond at +2 after a 3 under 68. Justin Thomas at +3 after a 72. Rory McIlroy +3 as well. He tees off later this hour. I'm Ted Emmerich, Westwood One Sports.
The success you've already had matters at University of Maryland Global Campus because we're a school for real life. An accredited state university, UMGC lets you earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning, life, and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer affordable tuition and online and hybrid courses. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Lee and Kate's Glass.
Friday on Helmets and Heels.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Want to support a locally and veteran-owned company? If you need a new AC, we should be your first and only call. Ideal Conditions keeps you cool. Just gas your AC. Call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjacks.com.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
Idealconditionsjacks.com.
Yo, E.T. here, and Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes through in the clutch every day, from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar, Twin Peaks. Scratch kitchen scores every time. Dig into hand-smashed burgers, chef-inspired flatbreads, and more at your local lodge. Come on, somebody.
Tired of a plain and boring backyard? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop choice to beautify your home. With pavers, stonework, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, pergolas, and driveways. Visit stonecore.co. We do outdoors better. Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
When it comes to your utility bill,
JEA wants to help you use less so you can save more. We offer a variety of free programs, like efficiency and irrigation assessments that'll teach you ways to conserve energy and water around your home. Our alerts will let you know when your utility usage has reached a set amount, and our rebates can help you save when upgrading to more efficient appliances and equipment. Find even more ways to save at JEA.com.
Jacksonville's building a playoff team in team.
All right, we're going to play to win.
Follow 1010XL's coverage of organized team activities. Backed by Heroes Lawn Care and Hurricane Grill and Wings. Tune up the off-season with AA Automotive and 1010XL.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple of years ago. Went smooth as silk. Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
It's the perfect day. You're just driving along, listening to your favorite music, the windows down. There's a cool breeze. Life is good. But wait, hold on a second. You're not wearing a seatbelt? You'd better put that on before that... Uh-oh, too late. Cops everywhere are stepping up enforcement, so you'd better buckle up or you will get caught. Sorry to ruin your day. Click it or ticket.
Funded by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Looking for a fun-filled evening the whole family can enjoy? Discover the thrill of indoor football. A fast-paced, action-packed sport where excitement meets family fun. Check out your hometown Sharks this Saturday, May 17th. Kickoff at 7. Ask about family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 food vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card. All for only $100. Get tickets at jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. 904-621-0700.
Prosser here, looking for a fun-filled evening that the whole family can enjoy. Our Jacksonville Sharks are back in town this Saturday. Discover the thrill of indoor football. Fast-paced, action-packed sport where excitement beats family fun. This Saturday, May 17th, kickoff 7 o'clock. Ask about our family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 food vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card. All for only $100. For ticketing, go to jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700.
Go Sharks!
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. From GFL, Green for Life.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
Baloo here for Smunez Vision. Why Smunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smunez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smunez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmunezVision.com today. Here you can see.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
Again, in case you missed it, the Jacksonville International Airport is currently closed due to a fire in the parking garage. We have no other details at this time. That's all that has been officially released from the airport. We will keep you posted on what we hear from some of the local news reporters, boots on the ground. Some of the images coming out are just scary, to say the least. And so we will keep you posted. If you do have a flight later today, again, no update as to when the airport will reopen, but it is currently closed. As for this weekend, regular season WNBA tips off tonight. Caitlin Clark will play basketball tomorrow afternoon. I promised this time. The last time I said that to begin the preseason, they held her out. Precautionary reasons for a leg injury. Excited to see what Paige Beckers in her regular season debut, the number 1 overall pick via the Dallas Wings, will do against the runner-ups from a season ago in the W against the Minnesota Lynx. That game is at 7:30 this evening. The Golden State Valkyries will make their debut in their first season. But certainly, if you're looking for a sport to get into this summer, there's not a lot outside of baseball once NBA and NHL playoffs wrap up. And so in those dog days of the summer, besides baseball, we love baseball in this program. Just go check out the W. They're a lot of fun.
There's college sports, too.
No, I mean like in July.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I saw this tweet from SportsCenter. No days off for Indiana Hoops. The Fever and the Pacers could possibly have a game almost every day for the rest of May.
How awesome is that?
It's awesome if you're a fan. I think it's less awesome if you're covering both teams.
But it's awesome when you know you have to cover the Indianapolis Colts in a few months. And so you're like, hey, we're gonna enjoy this while we have it. Not to mention IndyCar racing, as our friend Angela Morian told us as well. There is a chance that the Brickyard will be hosting the Indy 500, and the Pacers will have a playoff game the same day.
That would be, like she said, lit Indianapolis. By the way, when it comes to college golf, Florida and FSU women's golf advance to the NCAA championship. That begins today out in California. And then Gators men's golf they've also advanced to the national championship, but that will not be until next Friday through next Monday. Or Tuesday. All right. When it comes to the Jaguars, we forgot to mention this yesterday. The Jaguars agreed to terms with tight end Quentin Morris, and they waived tight end Patrick Murtaugh. We've talked about Murtaugh and the gruesome injury that he suffered right in front of us there at training camp last summer. He had to have an air cast put on his ankle. He had to have surgery right after that. I was afraid that something like this would eventually happen, but it does make way for Quentin Morris from the Bills, who scored 3 touchdowns over 3 seasons, and he's valued for his blocking abilities.
Yeah, and speaking with some of our contemporaries up there in Buffalo, great locker room guy, someone who grew at the position, grew as a blocker each and every season, began his career as an undrafted free agent. And so, again, if you're keeping score, that's Bretton Strange, who certainly has the ability to be a leading pass catcher in the tight end room, but also takes a lot of pride in his blocking. Hunter Long, a player who, I believed in the pre-draft process coming out of Boston College that Bretton Strange was almost the mold for him before Bretton Strange existed in the collegiate ranks. Like, that was who I thought he could be, someone who could certainly split out if you needed him to, but more of an inline blocker. And predominantly in his NFL career up to this point, he's been primarily used as a blocker. Johnny Munt is the blocker of the Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell system, to the point that my friends who are Vikings fans were very upset to lose Johnny, who is a vibes guy too. And now you add another one. So now if you're keeping score, that's 3 of the 4 tight ends who are predominantly known for their run-blocking prowess, Lauren. So if you didn't think the Jaguars were going to run the ball, think again.
Yeah, and I think it sends another message as far as Evan Ingram being released and then obviously joining the Broncos after that. But because I don't think that they necessarily thought Evan was as good of a blocker as they would have liked. And so that's why I think they moved on from him. All right, so Travis Hunter, as far as the cornerbacks he'll face in the first or in this regular season, week 1, J.C. Horn. Week 3, Derek Stingley Jr. We just talked to Cody Stutz about the Texans about that. Week 5, Trent McDuffie. Week 6, Devin Witherspoon. Week 10, Derek Stingley Jr. again. Week 13, L'Jarius Sneed. Week 14, Charvarius Ward. Week 15, Sauce Gardner. Week 16, Pat Surtain Jr. Week 17, Charvarius Ward again. And Week 18, L'Jarius Sneed again. I'm not as concerned about these matchups because I do think that Brian Thomas Jr. will get the number 1 corner on these rosters.
Yeah, and everyone else is interchangeable. Like, this is welcome to the modern NFL. It's much like modern NBA and college basketball. It's positionless. That's not to say that you're going to have a linebacker lined up on Travis Hunter. That would be malpractice on the part of that defense coordinator.
I'd love the DC to do that.
Yeah, hey, listen, Devin Lloyd lined up on some wide receivers last year. Yeah, but point is, yes, I think that it's hilarious to me that nationally there were so many graphics of here are the wide receivers that Travis Hunter is going to have to face, and it's like all the number 1 wide receivers, and then
Tyson Campbell has something to say about that.
But then after being criticized for that, all of these national outlets are now here are all the all the DBs that he's going to go against, and it's just they do have Brian Thomas Jr. on the roster. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Relax.
And Tyson Campbell mentioned that
he's
as well.
also yes.
But speaking of Travis Hunter, Tony Baselli joined NFL Network and Brian Baldinger and had this to say about Travis Hunter joining his team.
Well, first of all, Baldy, you know this as well as I do. We're not playing real football yet. We're just out on the grass, kind of going through and doing individuals, a lot of install, a lot of education. With that said, I'll say this. Travis Hunter, and I had high expectations. Obviously, we traded up and gave next year's first rounder, second rounder this year to go get him. We felt like he was the best guy to be a Jaguar. And so we had high expectations. He's exceeded my expectations. You see the athlete on the field. You see how he moves, the change of direction, the body control. But it's the person that I'm most enamored with. Just the natural leadership, the energy he brings, the excitement, the smile. And he's a tireless worker. This is a guy that wants to be the best. And just you watch his demeanor and how he approaches even just the phase 2 workouts on the field, how he approached the rookie mini camp. This is a guy who's hungry to be the best.
And that's coming from someone who was the best left tackle in all of the NFL when he played.
Yeah, and again, I think that it validates the decision to go up to number 2 and select Travis Hunter. Again, this idea of he was the number 1 player on their board, and so they said, you know what, in a class with so many question marks, let's just go get that guy, and let's hope it pays off come July, August, September, October, November. And I'm also curious to see if this first 2-week onboarding period, if it has shifted the thinking of, okay, how much can we put on this 21-year-old's plate before we actually ask him to do even more on both sides of the ball.
Is there a chance, Mia, that he ends up being, Travis Hunter, being a defensive back primarily and a receiver more, the opposite of how they're starting him?
I could see that happening. I mean, they were very forthright that that's his natural position. As Coach Campo walks past us, and I'd love to get his take on this, his natural position is defensive back. And the area of his game that needed the most growth, at least in the Jaguars' estimation, was at wide receiver. But I also think if you're Travis, you are also very excited for this idea of this is a team and a franchise that's going to let you try both, because they are not being pigeonholed by other limitations on their roster like some other teams that potentially could have selected him, where he had to be a wide receiver if he was selected by the Cleveland Browns because they don't have much else besides Jerry Jeudy at that position.
Right. If Travis Hunter has 2 interceptions through the first handful of games, the first month of the season, I wonder if the initial thought of let's play him at receiver all the time, or at least most of the snaps on offense, and then dabble a little bit in certain situations on defense. I wonder if that mindset could shift a little bit and say, well, you know what? We like De'Ami Brown, and we like Parker Washington. Obviously, we love Brian Thomas Jr. We like these guys. We actually need someone to be opposite Tyson Campbell, and he fills a need there, but also his value is really good there. And then Travis Hunter could potentially take on the likes of Tet McMillan, Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, Brandon Ayuk, Rashee Rice, Jackson Smith, and Njigba Puka Nacua, Nico Collins, Lad McConkey, Marvin Harrison Jr., Garrett Wilson, and Cortland Sutton. Those are the number 1 wide receivers the Jaguars will face this season.
But that's also where discipline on the part of the coaching staff and the training staff is going to come into play. Let's say, God forbid, Tyson Campbell gets injured, Jarian Jones gets injured, and now you're like, oh God, this is a numbers game. We need Travis now on the defensive side of the ball predominantly. That's where, are you sticking to the plan? Or do you say, no, we need him to help us here now? Because what Tony Baselli has stressed, what Liam Cohen has stressed, is that this is not just a 1 year, okay, we're going to use him wherever we need him. This is a long-term play for we need to have him up and running and playing at a professional level at both spots, even if one side of the ball takes longer than the other, and we should not deviate from that plan. That's the part where I think the discipline, much like the discipline it's going to take where it's 3rd and long, and if you're Anthony Campanelli, you really want him on the field, but you know that he is only allowed to play X amount of snaps on defense according to the big game plan. It's going to be that same level of discipline.
We released the record predictions yesterday. Did you receive a little flack for having the Panthers beat the Jaguars in week 1?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
No.
As Taylor says, the haters going to hate. I feel like I saw a lot of people that were like, wait, no, the Jaguars can't lose to the Panthers. Well, actually they can. It's an NFL team. But certainly you'd hope that the Jaguars get off to a hot start there.
Yes, that is certainly the hope. And the Carolina fans, they've been very vocal online. Certainly our friend Dimitri Ravenos said that we're going to need to have him on at some point in time to break down the team that he covers, and a team that, again, has another former Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense coordinator leading the charge and invested heavily in their defense this offseason.
Yes, for sure. Look, like we talked about yesterday, the first 5 games, really difficult for the Jaguars. But that back half of the season, if you're any good, you should be able to make hay in that back half. All right, let's say hello to a fellow
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
I was going to say, let's say hello to another person who lived in Gainesville, another Florida person. Matt Hayes, were you watching the baseball game live last night?
No, but I saw the tweet and I thought, wow, Lauren has got to be going bonkers right now.
You got that right. I'm in my orange and blue. I got my Gators bracelet on. We talked about Taylor Swift earlier. That's like the best thing Taylor Swift did for me is got people into making bracelets with letters on them and numbers, and so I love it.
That looks like a Bears bracelet to me. I think Taylor might have
It says Gators.
I know it does, but I think she might have. That looks like navy blue to me. Does it not, Mia?
It is a little dark,
Yeah,
but
it's a little darker,
my
yeah.
niece has made it, so you can't throw shade. All right.
Oh, I thought Taylor made it for you. That's what I was going to say.
No, I was saying Taylor Swift. That's the best thing that's come out of the Taylor Swift
I
era.
thought we were talking about TD.
No.
All right.
But if she had made it, then yes, I could see where you're coming from.
I don't care about Taylor Swift.
No. All right. What's coming up on the show? What are y'all doing today?
We are talking Jags. Hendrickson.
You are going to say the word. Yikes. Do you have any reporting?
I don't have any reporting, but I mean,
okay.
We'll see what our coach Dave Campo thinks about it.
Just the theory.
Yeah.
Because myself and some others, I believe it's a little too early to be counting our chickens before they hatch, but
we got to trade somebody for him, right?
That or picks. You got a couple extra thirds. Would you do that? Because then you got to pay him too.
I would definitely trade him someone.
I think he's 29 now. Doesn't matter to you?
It doesn't matter to me, but if he comes here, that means Trayvon Walker's moving inside, right?
Right. Which this team, this new regime, clearly thinks highly of him. They offered him the 5th-year option before he ever got reported for off-season workouts.
Right.
Hendrickson is 30.
And I would think that would be as an edge rusher, that 5th-year option. That's what it's being classified as.
Right.
So I wouldn't think they would deviate from the course that quickly unless something happened in the last few weeks that changed their mind.
It doesn't seem like them, right?
No.
It doesn't. But
no,
I will say this.
The bold move does.
Yes, but the age thing. Although I will say, like the Rams did it, so I wouldn't put it past Gladstone then.
I wouldn't move Trayvon inside full-time, though. I think he's your best pass rusher.
He was last year.
Yeah. I think he's better as a pass rusher. He's only getting better as a pass rusher, too. He himself said he wished that he had had more pass rush moves, when he got drafted.
I would argue that, again, this is if they are to make another bold move, we were just talking about it with Travis Hunter. They have a big, grandiose plan that I believe they will be disciplined to that bigger, overarching plan. And so in this scenario, it would be, okay, well, in 2025, we're loading up on edge guys. And maybe next year is the year we address that interior, which is the opposite of what we anticipated when Tony Baselli, Liam Cohen, James Gladstone said this team would be built from the inside out.
Sure, it would be nice to have like Josh Hines, Allen Hendrickson, and Trayvon Walker on the same, and Eric Armstead for that matter.
And Emmanuel Agba, too. He's had a couple of 5-sack seasons, too.
On the same line, and you're rushing 4 and dropping 7.
Hey, bold new city of the South, that we are. Come on down.
See.
Shot will pay you, even if the Bengals won't. All right, thanks, Matt. I'm sure y'all will talk some golf today, too.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
I'll put it on the record, yeah. There's smoke about it. I'm not putting the cart before the horse. That's why it was not addressed until Matt Hayes and the primetime crew arrived on the airwaves and want to stir the pot.
There we go. That'll do it for us. Taylor Dahl rejoins us on Monday, live from the Guggen at Hidden Hills. For Mia O'Brien, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you on Monday, but don't go anywhere. XLP comes up next.